Good morning, Cam. Thanks for coming along. I really appreciate your time today. Let's start off with you introducing yourself and your business and what you do.
Cameron McLean. I'm the founder and director of DI Sign Group, and we are basically a fabrication business of everything signage. So we're an industry supplier. We supply to other sign companies, builders, commercial, stuff like that, a lot of retail nationally. So yeah, we build all the big signs on the Melbourne skyline and pylon signs, etc. Large fabricated and illuminated signage.
Right. Give me an example. What should I do if I'm driving down the road? What I see is one of your signs.
Yep. So yeah, one of the more enjoyable sort of type signs, we build a sky sign. So on the Melbourne skyline, you can see the Pearson building. We've done Novotel Hotel sky sign, stuff like that. So these are the exciting ones, hanging off the top of a 20, 30-story building. Abseilers install stuff like that.
Yep.
Or then, you know, your big main sign out the front of your Woolworths or something like that, your big pylon sign, we could build that. So they're sort of notable ones that, you know, someone's got to build it, and it's us. So
Fantastic. That's great. So what geographic area do you cover?
We are Melbourne based, but we've been a national company since we started. So yeah, East Coast is the main sort of direction, as you'd expect from, you know, a Melbourne-based business. But we do get into WA, a little bit of Darwin, stuff like that, a little bit in South Australia, but yeah, predominantly East Coast.
Great. And how long have you been in business?
I think we're about to turn 13. So 13 at the end of the financial year this year. So yeah, been going a little while.
Lucky 13, I hope.
Lucky 13, exactly. Yeah.
And how'd you get into the business?
An interesting one. It's sort of a bit by default. I was a carpentry apprentice when I was young, and then work dried up for my boss. No one was handing out apprenticeships at that stage. So I ended up falling into the signage game, started sweeping the floors at a factory to make money when I was 17, just to, you know, till I found another carpentry apprentice. And then 10 years later, I was still there and nearly running the place. So yeah, it was something a bit through default. And then I left there, went on to basically become a sign installer after that. Did about 4 years of that. And then DI Sign Group started as Digital Icon back in the day. And yeah, we just started picking up a little bit of work as you do as an installer, and
yep,
somehow got into the manufacturing game. And then, yeah, 13 years later, we're nearly 100% in-house. Of every part that we make is all Australian made, Melbourne made. We outsource a little bit of stuff like certain steel, laser cutting, stuff like that. But other than that, we're nearly 100% in-house. So
great. So who'd be your ideal client or customer?
We're having a bit of a change back to our roots at the minute. So yeah, I'm pushing the company back into a direction of purely an industry supply business. We started chasing, you know, big architectural wayfinding projects and things like that over the last few years, and that's been fun and great. And we've really honed our skills and whatnot in that area. But we have found the last couple of years that there's less and less money in that direction. You're getting crunched too much. So we're actually pushing back into dealing, not 100%, but I'm trying to get it to about 70% industry supply. So I'll supply to other signage companies that basically haven't got the capacity to build what we build, but they've got clients that need that and want it. So they can sell the job, project manage the job. We can build it, or, you know, design it, build it, engineer it to whatever length they need or length they don't need. So yeah, basically predominantly producing for other sign companies is our main sort of goal at the moment. Saying that, we work with a handful of chosen shop fitters You can't work for too many shop fitters because all your dates end up clashing. But then, we have a handful of other clients that are sort of, our small group of chosen clients that we choose to deal direct with as well. So,
good. So what's the biggest challenge you're facing in the business right now?
At the moment, we're actually humming along really nicely, which is
Good.
fabulous. It's always, Milton, I think I would have said to you, it's either time or money. So basically, if you're worried about money, you've got time on your hands. And then if you're worried about time, you tend to have money. So it comes down to cash flow or time, basically, are the biggest ones. As per everyone, we've had our share of staff issues over the last couple of years, but we spent a lot of time restaffing and listening to our staff during that time and weeding out a few that sort of didn't really fit our mold. But right now we've got amazing staff and just sort of change a few directions internally, and everything's working really well. So
great. So what's one or two actions you've taken because of the pandemic, and how are they working?
One or two actions. I think it might have been one of those ones that you did take your staff for granted a little bit. We've always tried to be very. We're not a huge company. We don't have a massive amount of staff, so we are in one way it's great because we can be quite personable with our staff, but probably just going a little bit further to understand what's important to them as to not just what's important to the business.
Good.
Letting them know a little bit more that we actually do care, and doing staff reviews is something that we're checking in with more often. Not necessarily just a monetary thing, but just making sure people are happy. Where are their goals? Where do they want to be in 6 months or 2 years? Like, as simple as that. Are they happy day to day? Is there anything that needs to be changed? So that's probably a big one. Second to that, it's obviously was reviewing where you make money. I think it was hard because certain areas of our business obviously dropped away instantly, like retail and stuff like that. So, we scraped through pretty well, I think, and we were lucky to have some good projects on at the time through the 2 years of, pretty heavy, strict rules in Melbourne. But yeah, it come down to everything got very tight. So it was, it was important. Where's the money getting made, and are you focusing in the wrong areas, I guess.
Right. What's the biggest learning you've had since you've been a business owner?
Running
the biggest one.
Running a business. Oh God, that's a good one. Well, I don't come from any type of formal business training at all. Like, I'm a tradesman at the end of the day. So I think, the actual day-to-day running of the business has probably been the hardest part, but the most rewarding part as well. As any business will tell you, the highs and lows are incredible, and unpredictable. You just never know what you're up for half the time. So, but yeah, thanks to people like yourself, you can get some good advice out there, and it's learning what the rewarding parts are for you as well, and then having to still spend time on the other parts, or surround yourself with people that are happy to do the other bits for you. So
right.
I don't know whether I am that or not, mate, but
so what have you learned about yourself during this journey?
How resilient I am.
Good.
Yeah. That would be the biggest one. My resilience is pretty strong, I think. So that's been a good one.
So how do you find your inspiration each day to do what you do? What inspires you?
Yeah, I mean, as like anyone would say, like any job, you're going to have times where you're really inspired, and then you're going to have times where you just, aren't. And you've got to just realise those times when you aren't. And I sometimes, not verbally, but I give myself a mental kick in the butt. You might go through 2 or 3 weeks where you're just sort of coasting. And then, quite often I have to give myself a get off your ass and get it done. You've got to get back into a momentum. And the minute you do that, it's quite incredible. And the very next day you'll wake up, you'll get out of bed, you'll come to work with a new lease of life. And that's when things change and move, So it's your attitude is, I reckon it would have to be 80 or 90% of manifesting how things run day to day. So if your attitude's poor, especially in bad times, it's easy to go further and further down. What you have to have the resilience to do is change your mindset and look up when you're drowning. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's when things change. And if you don't, you're gone.
So what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business, Cam?
Make sure you've got very good knowledge of what you're doing. Actually, do some research. It's all very well to think that there's a market there for something. There may not be. Have a very clear idea of how long you're willing to commit to it, and don't be afraid sometimes to pull out early if it's not working. Sometimes there's reasons for it. Timing can be everything, but you need to be careful and really think, about the big impact of it, because it's not something that's it's a big commitment. So you've got to be very, very confident in what you're doing. Know that the market needs to be out there. Have some cash flow behind you, and be prepared to put in some huge hours for the first 5 years.
Yeah. If you started your business again, what would you do differently?
It's a great question. I've really enjoyed the ride, so I don't know that I'd do a lot different. Like, obviously, it would be easy to say, I'd go and do a business course or something like that. But in a way, it's not a natural thing for me to do, so I probably wouldn't. I'd probably try and find a mentor a bit earlier, like a really good mentor, and someone from the industry that you're in can be really beneficial. Like, there's brilliant mentors like yourself out there, and look into the mentoring stuff early. And a lot of the local councils order mentoring programs these days and stuff like that. But get one right from the word go. It's probably the best advice I'd give to anyone.
Right. So what about, along the same line, what's the best advice you'd give to your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self?
Yeah.
That's a great question too. I don't know. I'm not someone that lives with a lot of regrets.
I know, it should be regrets. It's more, what you've learned and what would you do differently, or what's important. Because I think at 18, we think we know it all, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Stop smoking. I was a horrible smoker for a long time. Give up earlier. But
me too. I agree.
Keep going with your fitness and stuff like that. That's easy to let go, and that changes things as well. Being fit's a good one. So I drink so much.
What does the future look like, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward in your industry, both for you personally and for the business?
I think capacity is going to be our next big challenge. We're getting to a stage where we were 5 or 6 years ago when we had to move factory into a larger premises. We're sort of on a push I'm on a bit of a push to grow the business another 20 or 30% in the next 12 to 18 months. But our capacity is going to be an issue there. So finding the right staff and cash flow balance, as well as premises and having to be able to move things around, get it in and out the door without having to double, triple handle things, which obviously makes issues with damaging items and redo. Storage, but I don't really particularly want to get another full premises or move. But then if you can't find something next door, it becomes quite a tricky one. But yeah, so our location is one problem, and then it'll be staff balance of staff for cash flow.
Yeah. And finally, what's going to keep you accountable in business in the future? What are your plans there?
Myself, the fact that I've got a really big mortgage.
Yeah. Love a mortgage.
Listen, I'm someone that's always been very accountable. I know the day-to-days of the business, and if you're not passionate, it can slip away from you really, really quickly. So yeah, you just got to find those day-to-day challenges or whatever it may be that keeps you engaged. And if you're not, learn a new skill, do something to, I've learnt 3D modeling and stuff like that in the last couple of years just to change my day slightly, so that if I'm finding myself bored or disengaged, you can do something that is rewarding to get you back, into it, I guess. Other than that, I don't know, mate.
That's great. Good. Ken, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Is there any offer you'd like to make from your business that can go in our newsletter or something you could do that may help your business, and offer to any prospective customers?
Obviously we're happy to, we can do free shop drawings and maybe a 5% discount that anyone wants to look at for any signage package that they're doing. We don't deal a hell of a lot with one-off clients, but we're happy to anyone that's coming from here, drop the interview in your inquiry, and we'll knock 5% off any quotes.
Fantastic, Cam. Thank you very much for your time. That's been great. Perfect.
Thanks, Milton.
Really appreciate it.